This is just the beginner's guide to time-lapse. That's why it's called that. Morning. It's been a couple days since I filmed a vlog because the next vlog I wanted to film was one showcasing Vancouver, and for that I had in mind doing a lot of time lapses, and yesterday this is what I had to deal with. And like this weather, this is what it does to bikes. But today, different story. Today is really bright and blue sky and like really fat white clouds, and I'm hoping that they're rolling and rolling. So I got a big time-lapse day in mind. I've also got, I technically have this camera I'm shooting on with my 10 to 18 mil. I've got my other M5 body with the 15 to 45 kit lens, and the other one with the 18 to 150 kit lens. Plus, I'll have my iPhone, the Note 8, this monster tripod, my other Joby pod, and between those, I'm going to have an insane looking time-lapse setup. And this is stop one. Technically called Capitol Hill, but Google Maps took me to a hill that's over there. So it's not exactly Capitol Hill, but it's a lookout by Capitol Hill. I've got the 18 to 150 set up there, and that's giving me this view and also this view. I've got the Note 8 set up there, which is giving me this view. And then way over there on that garbage can, I've got the 15 to 45, which is giving me this view. And this is spot 2 that I really like to set up time lapses in. It's This is spot 2 I really enjoy setting time lapses up. We got the Cambie Street Bridge right over there. You got the skyline all behind you. You've got Rogers Place right over there. Over here, something called, I think it's called Stoner's Hill. But look at this. This is the danger. This is how I'm setting up my time lapse right now. That's part of False Creek, which leads into the ocean. And I've got the one side of the Joby pod. It's been sitting there for about 15 minutes now. I've been way too afraid to walk away from it. This is spot 2 that I really enjoy. Time for the nitty-gritty of how to take time lapses and all of the different varieties of possibilities. The traditional way of taking a time-lapse is by taking a photo on intervals of usually 2 to 4 seconds. Usually what you need to have is I don't have one, but an intervalometer, which is a remote that plugs into the side of the camera. So you have to calculate how much time will be needed, 45 minutes or so on. Interval of 4 seconds and a total of 390, which will take approximately 26 minutes to do, and will give you a 13-minute video. And then what you do is you take those photos and you compile them together into a video, usually at 24 to 30 frames a second. So that's what I do with this one, that's what I do with that one. But with this one, what I typically do, because it has the bigger zoom on it, I like to actually film a full video. This requires a massive SD card and takes a lot of processing power later on. You end up with a 15 to 20 minute video or a half an hour video that you take in and you have to speed up. Now if you do this technique, the first time I had it explained to me was with the example of Casey Neistat. He does it all the time, and there's a couple pointers to use this one. Use the filming of a long sequence whenever you're filming people, or whenever you're filming something where there's lots of movement that you might want to slow down and play an actual video of it. It adds an element to the time lapse that you can't get when you just take photos. and I record it at 60 frames a second. The reason I record it at a higher frame rate is that when you slow a 60 frame per second video down, it makes smoother slow motion than 24 frames. So I'm using the same logic for when I speed up the video. It keeps the video a little more crisp than a 24 frame per second. The other reason I record videos, especially on this one, is I did a test shot. I have this beautiful scene here of the science world, and it's framed perfectly. You can see the building on the left and the building on the right are perfectly in the third markers, and the crispness and the sun that is hitting the science center. It's an amazing time lapse. But if I went in and I used the time lapse function in here because it takes photos, you see this. And it just ruins the time lapse, especially because it's like right in the middle where your eyes will sit. So that's because it takes a photo, and when it takes a photo, it captures everything on the sensor, and because there's some dust somewhere on the sensor, it picks it up too. So what I do instead is I take a video, and because it's a video, there's no image that gets imprinted directly onto the sensor, so it overrides it, so it omits the speck of dust, so it looks really crisp, and it looks like this. So those are the two main ways to take a time lapse. Intervaled photos, or if you're kind of in a time crunch or you want the potential to slow it down later, you just record a video and then speed it up in post-production. What I found to be a good speed to speed up the time lapse in post-production is 7,000%. Now that's totally subjective, but if you want to record a video and speed it up to an accurate time lapse, think about being ready to speed it up by 7,000%. The way I choose my time lapses is there must be some point of interest somewhere in the frame. That is vague and subjective, but it needs to be for time lapses. There is no golden rule. So yeah, that's how I take my time lapses. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments, and I'll try my best to get back to them. But that's the simplest way, and the rest of it, the limit is your imagination. You get to have so much fun with time lapses. You get to show so many different angles at different perspectives. This is just the beginner's guide to time lapses. That's why it's called that. So that's the time lapses. That's that. Oh yeah, feels good.